Just, yeah, hug and then come on up, because I know you want to say some things. So just before Peter comes up, we're going to have Aunt Kathy come up first. So Kathy, are you, yeah, here you are, right here. Good. That's wonderful.
It's Auntie Kathy. And I wear that on my sleeve in my heart. And I'm very short. I am Auntie Kathy. I am Kathy Kosh Hessel. Sherri's mom, Deb, is my big sister. Deb is one of 7 kids, and if you line them up, it sounds like this. Auntie Gloria, Uncle Debbie, Auntie Terry, Nanny is Uncle Wesley, Auntie Kathy, Uncle Kirk, and Auntie Connie. I want to just express a few phone calls that I received from Sherri, and it sounds something like this. Hi, Auntie Kathy. It's Sherri. Hi, sweetheart. Auntie, I want to come over for the weekend. When? Tonight. Hi, Auntie Kathy, it's Sherri. Hi, sweetheart. I want Alina to come for the weekend. I want to take her to the mall and shop, and we're going for dinner, and you and Uncle Jeff can drive her over. And I said, well, when would you like us to do this? She said, today. Sherri was planning. She made her plan, and she didn't care about all the logistics. She just moved forward. This is who Sherri is. We are very proud aunties and uncles. And we've had a chance to to babysit Joshua, Sherri, and Caleb when they were little, or when the family was coming for a visit, and we would watch for them to come. We would basically have the feeling that they are here, and here she comes. Here she comes. Sherri would be coming right through the door, and it's hard for me to express it, but Sherri was coming. And get ready. Sherri, you are a firecracker. You would come through the door with so much excitement. Whether you were 3 or 10 or 6 or 16 or 18. We want to thank you, Sherri, for your zest, your enthusiasm, and your excitement. You brought a dimension to our family, which is beautiful. You are an inspiration, Sherri, not only to our family, but for everybody that knows you. I have heard my siblings in conversation say how proud they are of Sherri. And I never missed an opportunity, Sherri, to tell you how proud I am. And there were many opportunities to do that, and I'm thankful I had the chance to tell you. Sherri, my mom, Sigrid, and my dad is Papa Kosh. We spent our summers on Polly Lake. A lot of us kids were born in Nipigon, Ontario, and my parents bought a cabin with my brother Wes and Trudy and Debbie and Peter. And there was a whole herd of us, and what that meant was all summer long we would go and come, and we had a place to go and spend family time. And Sherri is a 5th generation Finlander. We had saunas, We played in the sand. The kids slept in Papa's tree fort. Uncle Jeff would be on the lake in our polylaker boat with all the kids. My dad stood beside me, Papa stood beside me, and he was shaking his head, and I said, "What?" He said, "Look at him. How does he do it?" All of the kids were piled in the boat with their Uncle Jeff. And Sherri, the most endearing word we have said to you as a family, and we have said it, is Millar. It means we love you. Millar, Sherri. Your birthday is December the 16th. And this year we will be lighting a candle on your birthday. And we're not putting it in a cake. I am baking your favorite. I am baking a blueberry pie. We are lighting your candle. And I am buying a case of Pepsi. There is only one Sherri Helen Sigrid Millar. And we are so blessed to call you ours. Lord Jesus, Sherri has grown a very spacious garden in her 22 years. And I'm looking at just a fraction of it today. And of all the things you are, Lord, you are a gardener. And my prayer is very simple. Water Sherri's garden every day with a very gentle rain of peace and comfort. Because if you know anything about a garden, the gentle rain seeps in and it goes very deep. And Lord, I am expecting this. I am counting on it. And Debbie, you are holding Sherri very tight. Your girl is with you, and you have to hold tight. I told Debbie yesterday to hang on tight, because Sherri is not going to sit still. Sherri, you are going, and you are going with gusto. And we want to set you free and say, you go, girl. And as you go, Sherri, you go with gusto, because that is who you are. That is who you are, my dear. We love you, Sherri.
Wow, thank you so much, Auntie Kathy. It was wonderful. Peter, why don't you give Aunt Kathy a hug and then you can because Pete wants to hug everybody. You know what, just when Kathy was talking, I'll share a few of my personal things in a moment. But, you know, it's just impossible to think about Sherri and not have a smile on your face, isn't it? It's just impossible. I mean, you just smile when you think of Sherri. And Kathy reminded me too how she was quickly beside you. You ever remember that? You just turn and Sherri would be right there. Come on, dude. She'd be right there. And I remember so many things. She frightened me, and I turned around. I got a phone call from my son in Berkeley last night, Peter. He's out in Edmonton, and they all grew up in church here together. And Berkeley said, "Dad, I got to tell you," he says, I've heard lots of people have died, but he said, I got a tear in my eye. He says, I just had to stop and shed a tear. And he said, but you know, he says, Sherri irritated me. she just was always right there. But he said, but she did it with such love and such a smile on her face. He said, I could never one time ever be upset with her or mad at her. I just looked at her and just loved her. And I just think that kind of sums up Sherri. Come on, it's tough for you to share a few of your thoughts, Peter, but you're a guy of great faith and great courage and trust in the Lord, and you'll encourage us, I know, as you just share a few thoughts.
In short stature, I got my time.
Lower than Aunt Kathy.
I'm going to ask you to bear with me. So many things that have been said already. And Caleb, and Joshua, I love you so much. I love you so much. Jana, Amelia, Luke, wow. I'm so blessed. I love you all. But there was never anyone else like Sherri. Never anyone else. In the Millar family, there's never been any born Millar girls. Married and so forth. And Sherri was born on December 16th. And as soon as Deb could get to a phone, she called Auntie Brenda. So, Auntie Brenda, you go buy that pink dress. And that was Sherri. She was all girl. And I just want to share a few memories. I came home from work one day, walked into the house, and I have no idea why, but I'd never, ever said anything like this to Deb before. I just walked in, and I don't know what happened that day, but for some reason I said, you know, I came right in the door and I said, I am so glad that our boys are boys and our girl's a real girl. And she looked at me funny. She said, you better go in the other room. And there's Sherri. She had Caleb dressed in this frilly little dress. And she was dressed in a suit. Sorry, Caleb. Do you still have the dress? And Sherri went through some suffering when she was a little girl. We lived in Wycombe, Ontario for 5 years, and was out in the country. And there was a neighborhood boy. He was affectionately known as Goober Guts. His name was Andrew. We all called him Goober Guts. His parents called him Goober Guts. Well, lo and behold, Joshua decides to make friends with Goober Guts. And so, one day, I don't remember exactly what happened, but all I know is lo and behold, the kids are outside playing, and here's Josh and Goober Guts feeding Sherri worms. She suffered. But you know, when she was a little girl, she had really bad eczema, skin condition. I don't think I'm saying that right, whatever. It was a really bad skin condition. We prayed and we prayed. We prayed for a long time. We were really concerned about it. And one day, I wasn't there, but Deb was with Sherri, and they were at a prayer meeting at our church. I think it was on a Tuesday morning. And they prayed for Sherri to be healed. And so they came home from the prayer time, and they pulled into the laneway, and Deb was trying to get all the stuff and everything, and before she knew it, Sherri bounded out of the car. And the neighbors were getting a new roof on their house. Well, you guys know what construction workers are like sometimes. Well, there was one guy up in that roof. His hair was down to here, I guess. I didn't see it. Deb told me all about this. It just flowed down here. It would be kind of like the type of person that you would think would look like Jesus. So Sherri, before Deb could do a thing, jumped out of the car, looked up at the roof and said, Jesus, you get down here and heal me right now. We could never tell Sherri. She just believed. She really believed. By the way, she did end up getting healed from her eczema. Another story, driving, I was working in Toronto and living in London, Lambeth. And I was driving to Toronto, and Sherri was quite young. And so I decided to take her with me, and I'd go to Toronto, and I had appointments, and I could carve out a couple hours during the day to go to CN Tower and stuff like this. So Sherri was all excited, and she was going to go with Dad for the day. We'd go to work and go to my appointments and have some fun. Well, how did I say that? It seemed like a good idea at the time? It did seem like a great idea. We started on a trip to Toronto, and for 2 hours, yick, 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 yick. She was, and honestly at first it was really exciting. She was telling me all about her dreams and her plans, and she was telling me the details of how she was going to buy a camp when she was older. She was going to look after the children and preach to Jesus to them, and all these things. And it was wonderful for a while, but she talked. And I went in an appointment, I come back in the car, she talked. Another appointment in the car, talked. CN Tower, she didn't talk then, she was too excited. And then all the way home. Well, we finally got to just about 20 minutes out of London. Please don't think I'm a bad parent. But I looked at Sherri and I said, Sherri, honey, I love you. My ears are tired and I can't listen anymore. And she was quiet for 30 seconds. I'm not sure where she got that gift for Gab from. I'm sorry, Dad, but I think it must have been a hidden gene in you somewhere.